The old pair of work boots. Front Porch Lessons with Mark Morgan. Welcome back to the Front Porch Lessons. I welcome and thank every one of you. Why don't you pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of coffee, and let's sit on the porch together for a few minutes. Let me ask you something. You remember them old pair of work boots that always sit outside under the front porch right by the front door? If you grew up on the farm or anywhere around one, I bet you can picture them right now. Maybe they were cowboy boots, maybe they're them old lace-up boots. They weren't much to look at. In the summertime, they were covered with dust. In the wintertime, they were probably caked up with mud. They had scuffs, scratches, and more miles on them than that old pickup truck. Well, nobody cared about the way they looked. Those boots weren't bought to impress a soul. They were brought to work. Every morning before daylight, somebody slipped them boots on and headed out to feed cattle, mend fence, cut hay, or check the garden. They worked through enough wet grass, crossed muddy pastures, climbed on hay wagons, stood places where a good pair of boots could mean the difference between coming home with dry feet or wet socks. They helped you protect they from briars, thorns, rocks, and sometimes even an old snake probably hiding somewhere you couldn't even see it. Those boots earned every single scratch they had. Every evening they'd come back off and sit outside under the porch beside the front door waiting for another sunrise. Now, here's something I always remember. The old farm dog would lay right beside those boots. He wasn't there because he liked sleeping on leather. He knew exactly what those boots meant. The minute somebody reached down to pull those old work boots up, he was on his feet with his tail wagging. He knew they were headed to the barn, headed to the pasture, down the fence row. And wherever those boots were going, he was going too. Those old boots weren't forgotten after a long day. Every once in a while, somebody would wipe the mud off of them and rub mink oil into the leather. They knew if you didn't take care of them, the leather would dry out, crack, and start leaking water. When the soles finally wore thin, folks didn't throw them old boots away. They took them down to the shoe shop. They had new soles put on them. Sometimes they'd even put heel taps on them so the boots would last just a little longer. Why? Because those boots already fit them just fine. They had already proven themselves. They still had plenty of work left in them. Somewhere along the way, I think we've forgotten something those old farmers understood. They didn't replace faithful things, they took care of them. They repaired them, they appreciated them. Maybe that's a lesson we could all use today. Our friendships need a little care once in a while. Our marriage needs a little mink oil before they dry out. Our character needs a little attention before it starts to crack. You know, our faith needs to be exercised if we expect to stay strong. Even we do. Life has a way of wearing every one of us down. But worn doesn't mean worthless. Scuffed doesn't mean finished. Sometimes what has faithfully carried us this far doesn't need replacing. It just needs a little care, a little repair, and maybe a new soul. Those old work boots taught me something I'll never forget. The strongest thing in life usually aren't the newest, they're the ones somebody cared enough to keep. Thank you guys for spending a little time with me here on the front porch today. If this story brought back a memory, I'd love you to share it with somebody you care about. Until next time, keep your boots ready, keep your heart grateful, and remember this: sometimes the greatest lessons in life are sitting right outside by the front door. Thank every one of you.